Hey guys, today will be the first part of a two-part series where I rank all the Uber sets and battlecats from worst to best. To clarify, this will not include any special rotation roles, so no best of the best, Uberfest, Epicfest, Superfest, Dynastyfest, etc. To put it simply, this ranking considered how useful the units in a set are throughout all periods of the game. This is because if it was purely a generalist ranking, the Elemental Pixies, a specialist set, would easily be at the bottom. Spoiler, they're not. It took a long time researching and editing this video, so it'd be cool if you left a like or even subscribe. With all that said and done, let's get right into it. Okay, now don't get me wrong, all non-collab and limited Uber sets are worth rolling, but the Nekolugas are probably the worst of them all. They do have some solid Ubers, but the rest of the set is either underwhelming or just a complete failure, so let's just start with the failures. Guess what Furuluga, Nobuluga, and Papaluga have in common? They all suck. And like the majority of the set, they are really fragile. If so much as a strong gust of wind hits them, they just evaporate into thin air. And their niches suck. Papaluga's niche is Cursed, which is a terrible niche in general. It's probably the worst niche in the game. His DPS does not help this, and it's even worse with his multi-hit, which makes it even more inconsistent. Nobuluga doesn't even have a niche, and while he's supposed to be a long ranger that chips enemies down, he fails in every regard. He is really a fragile Uber that has no DPS and a huge blind spot that makes him near useless. Furuluga you might think is useful due to his anti-Aku niche, which is pretty new in the meta right now, but he fails in this regard. Terrible DPS like the other two, one knockback like the other two, I forgot to mention that, and worst of all, incredibly slow attack cycle, makes him just a bottom tier unit. Unknown Cat slightly gets out of the failure territory, but his slow attack rate and low DPS makes him just he was the first Uber in the game, so he does have a special place, but like, there's no point actually using him. Kibilon is like kinda okay, I guess. His knockback is 100% guaranteed and his wave, plus his critical, so you might think he's a good anti-metal, but no, there are much better anti-metals out there. I guess you can use them to help support Cyberstack, but there are better Ubers, even in the set, that help support Cyberstack. Like the next Ubers, Balalon and Asaluga, basically help support Cyberstack. That's their only job. Balalon is slightly better because Freeze plus Weaken is better than Asaluga's Slow, and he is a bit more consistent, but they're both really fragile, so you want to be careful when you use them. Now onto the Ubers, I personally think are pretty good. Shishilon has fell off a bit due to there being other long distance attackers that are as good, if not better than him, but he's still a pretty good Uber. He's the only Uber in the set that has good health, and boy does he have good health. He has 100 knockback, meaning he will live for practically forever and provide great damage from a long range. Oh, and he gets 200% damage at 99 HP, but like, without that, his DPS would be horrible. Now, the best Uber and unit in the set is easily Luffy. Luffy is just a boss killer, the definition of a boss killer. He has crazy DPS, 15,000 DPS per second at level 30, which seems, pretty average until you realize he has 720 range. Yep. Okay, he has single target, meaning you can't use him on stages with a lot of peons, but on single stages with like just one boss, he probably maybe is the best Uber in the game for those stages. Unfortunately, the legendary of the set sucks. Lily Luga is just a budget Bahamut in every way. Low range, bad DPS for a rusher, and a long recharge time. Only roll the set if you feel pretty lucky, and let's be honest, if you want Tessalon. Overall, the Nekolugas are a bit of a gamble. If you removed half these Ubers, the set would probably be the best set in the game. Maybe not. At number 10, we have the Dragon Emperors. The main problem with this set, I would say, is that they require a heavy investment and comes off with some okay return. But in some cases, that return is definitely worth it. Sodom was the first Uber I ever got, and unfortunately he sucks. He's supposed to be a floating tank, but his HP is so low that you can't really use him for tanking at all. His DPS is decent, but his long floor swing often makes him miss, and that is pretty bad considering his very slow attack cycle. I recommend you sell him. The next 4 Ubers here are kinda underwhelming, to be honest. Gladios can be used as a budget Shadow Gal, and can help if you have no anti-trait list, but in most cases there are better generalists that perform better than him, even at his niche. Megadora is a pretty good anti-floating, but ever since the Airbusters, I forget what they're called, came in, Every single Uber there is probably better than this guy. Ray basically makes this unit look like a joke. Diorama replaceable with Sanso. That's all you need to know about him. Kakamura is probably the best out of all these Ubers, having a pretty good niche actually. I keep saying niche. KB plus slow against red. He does fall off later in the game due to there being much better anti-reds, such as Raiden, who is strong and 100 knockback against red. Raiden has a fast attack rate, making his procs consistent, which is what you need against reds, as they push quite fast and have high HP. And he is also quite decent DPS. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's still pretty good. This is where the Ubers start getting good. Sea King is a fantastic against angels and floating, boasting solid debuffs that can make certain stages much easier, and when his true form comes out, he has the potential to become the best Dragon Emperor, but for now, I don't think he's the best. Anti-Black Uber, but let's be honest, you're never using him for Anti-Black. You're using him for his Anti-Relic due to his talents, and this is a talent that's worth investing in. Varus has great range, decent DPS, and pretty good mobility as well. KB plus slow is a bit redundant due to Delinquent, but any Anti-Relic is valuable because of how rare they are. And Heva the Jack is one of the best anti-Aku Ubers, being a ranged tank with solid DPS. His knockback is guaranteed in his true form, making him also a crowd controller, which is great. He also has Pierce, and while it's a bit inconsistent, it's still a good ability to have nonetheless. He's the Uber I have, and I can say that he's pretty useful. And of course, the best Uber is Ganglion. I mean, who's surprised? He's a rusher that has great DPS, great HP, good positioning, rebound. He has a great niche. He gets two niches, alien and zombie, and he performs pretty well in both of them, especially zombie, where he's one of the best anti-zombies in the game. He's potentially a top 15 Uber, and the first really good Uber I got. I think it was actually the second Uber I got alongside him. Unfortunately, the legend rare of the set, like the Nekolugas, is not as bad as Luga, but is a huge investment and is underwhelming. His health is insane, literally. But he's expensive, slow, and has a long recharge time. His force swing is long, just like Sodom, meaning he can miss, which severely hinders his DPS. Like I said before, he's basically an uber rare version of Sodom, and you can see how that pans out. Overall, the Dragon Emperors are a bit of an underwhelming set. They all require quite a heavy investment with sometimes good return. However, the set is much more consistent than the Nekolugas, making them place higher. Coming at number 9, we got the Sengoku Wargods, which despite being Wargods, some of them kinda suck. However, like any set, it does have its high points. So let's start with the low points. Oda is just a worse Bomber Cat in every way. Just replace him with Bomber Cat, he's just not worth it. Masume is kinda boring. He's one of the Ubers I actually have, and he's just bad and replaceable with Urien. Akuma is also kinda below average, with an okay typing to Aku, but this does give him potential in the future in case he gets new talents or a true form. So now to the good ones. Kahime, I think that's how you pronounce it, doesn't really excel on either of her traits, zombies and aliens, but in mixed stages, she does perform as a tank with solid HP and also having good DPS. Yoshimoto is a good long-distance attacker who completely shuts down that black seahorse thing. Unfortunately, a long-distance Uber with a blind spot is not good since Black's enemies push very fast, making him a bit of a situational Uber. Kenshin has become so much better thanks to her anti-relic talents, making her an excellent crowd controller paired with some solid DPS. She also has the benefit of having good health as well. Kenshin will definitely help later on in the game, so don't sell her. Shigen, I think that's how you pronounce it, only attacks aliens, blacks, and angels. Black trait isn't that well suited for him, but alien and angel, oh boy is he broken. His DPS is just crazy, and his long distance makes you feel like you're dropping a nuke on your opponents. He counters a lot of different enemies, especially alien backliners, which are really annoying and very common. E.g. Cage is an Uber whose anti-black trait works very well, making him one of the best anti-black Ubers in the game, and arguably the best one. He's kind of like a better version of Gamrin, being a tank with insane DPS, especially with his damage talent. This guy is the definition of power, and can solo some black stages. Now we have Yukamura. He's a rusher that performs very similar to Bahamut. He is like a kamikaze rusher who benefits off his crazy burst damage and rebound. This is especially true on black stages, but he can be used in general as well, alongside Bahamut. The legend rare of the set, Musashi, can be a very broken Uber in some situations. I usually don't talk numbers, but this guy has 55,000 DPS versus blacks at level 30, which is more than Bahamut. Additionally, he has longer range and more HP versus his target trait. But the condition for these broken stats is a single target, which can limit him on stages that are spammy, and that's the problem. Black stages are usually very, very spammy. Any stage with a lot of peons hinders this unit useless, so be careful whenever you decide to put him in your lineup. Overall, the Sengoku Wargods have some pretty meh ubers, but if you can get past them, some of these ubers are extremely useful in all stages of the game. The 8th best set is actually quite interesting. Not in that way, you creeps. However, I won't delve too deeply as I don't want to get demonetized. Not that I can monetize anyway. I was lucky enough to roll the best uber in this set, but we'll get to that later. This set has some pretty good ubers. There are a couple sour spots, but overall, this set is actually quite good. So let's work from the bottom up. Verberna. Don't use Verberna. She's just a terrible anti-metal with a bad critical chance. Just use Jurassic Cat. DL has subpar D+, and okay DPS, and that's all you can really say about her. Kinda boring, to be honest. Kana is someone I got a lot of mixed opinions on when I asked Reddit for their opinion on my tier list, and some people say that she dominates the black stages, which is kinda surprising considering she's kinda like a budget Dark Casly limited to only blacks, but I'll just take their word for it. However, she does have a long range, and this also means she has a blind spot, so be careful when using her. Because blacks push very, very fast, and if they get into your blind spot, she's at least going to get knocked back or die. C Maiden Rare is actually not bad thanks to her anti-relic talents. She's a single target, meaning you can't use her on stages with peon spam, but on stages where there's just one relic boss, she can dominate. Unfortunately, multi-hits again hinder her DPS, and her sluggish speed does not help that at all. She is also included in a pretty good resistant cat combo, Sashimi and Littlefish. Vega is a pretty decent generalist, boasting strong versus traded, meaning she has 170k HP against traded and double DPS, which is pretty amazing for a long distance uber. However, if you get any uberfest/epic fest uber, she's kinda useless. Himiyuri is like an uber Sanzo with good slow debuffs, and surprisingly, she's not outclassed by him. She has good DPS, even considering the fact her multi-hit can slightly hinder this, which is pretty common in this set. She is also included in a good research cat combo that is kinda hard to set up. Now let's talk about Queen Reika, the one I got in a 100 guaranteed uber super rare draw. She is easily the best uber in the set, with pretty good typing and nuker level DPS against both alien and zombies. This makes her one of the best anti-aliens and a solid anti-zombie as well. Additionally, she only has 2 multi-hits, meaning she's the most consistent in the set in terms of DPS. You're lucky if you get her. It's also worth noting the legendary of this set, who is the best anti-metal in the game, boasting insanely tough 50% crit chance, which is crack considering her multi-hits, long distance, zombie killer, barrier breaker, survive lethal strike, and great generalist qualities because of her crazy DPS. She is definitely the best in the entire set, however she is a legendary, so good luck trying to get her. Overall, the girls and monsters really only have one bad uber, Verberna, so you might wonder why they aren't higher. Unfortunately, their generous qualities are kinda outclassed by the sets above, but the set next up is actually a specialist set, and outclasses them because of their usefulness in the majority of the game. This set is the Elemental Pixies. The anti-alien uber set, coming in at number 7, they are a very valuable set to roll from Into the Future and Cats of the Cosmos, which is a significant chunk of the game. This set boasts very strong anti-aliens uber such as all of them, except for 2, Yami and Blizana. To put it simply, they're both debuffers that are not consistent and kinda gimmicky. I advise you sell them. Air has quite solid DPS and weakens. Unfortunately, the weakened prot is quite inconsistent, making her somewhat underwhelming in this regard. And having Barrier Breaker is always a good thing versus aliens. However, she's not really a specialist. She's more of a generalist, but unfortunately there are much better generalists out there. However, she can perform well on mixed stages thanks to her high damage that is not limited to only aliens. Measly, of course, has quote-unquote Measly syndrome, which sounds so stupid, and is essentially when a unit knockbacks enemies, but leads your cat straight into a backliner's range, essentially killing them. Measly is specifically targeted to aliens, who have the most backliners out of any trait, making her very, very situational. However, it's impossible to deny her usability on stages where there aren't backliners, which is quite rare, but she can absolutely dominate on those. Gravel, or whatever he's called, is a tank that also has tremendous range thanks to his wave attack. He can also be used to hit backliners, which of course aliens are notorious for, and is very, very useful in Cats of the Cosmos. Volta is a bit redundant if you have Seafarer, but he's not completely outclassed. He outranges Seafarer, meaning he can outperform him on some stages. And if you can get 2 of them stacked, any alien stage is pretty much a free dub. Now the best Uber in the set is Blazabon. He is among the best anti-aliens on the game, being an alien nuker with crazy DPS. If you want to see how hard this little fireball can carry, go look at Can You Be Into the Future with One Slot by Souptasta and skip to this timestamp. He has crazy DPS even among other nukers, along with pretty good survivability as well. Additionally, the set also has Luma, which is arguably the best anti-alien in the game. She has crazy high health along with her weaken, and that's basically all you can say about her. But this simple unit can carry so hard on some stages. And again, if you want to see, go to Souptasta's Can I Be Into the Future with Only Slot and skip to this timestamp. Overall, while this is the best set for specifically anti-alien Ubers, that's basically its only purpose. However, if you are into the future to Cats of the Cosmos, this is probably the best set to roll. Maybe. Simps rejoice as Galaxy Gals are coming in at number 6. Galaxy Gals are quite a consistent set, but there are 2 Ubers that weigh them down. Those 2 Ubers are Mikura and Coppermine. Mikura is supposed to be a traitless tank, but her high KB count combined with her inconsistent niche, dodge, makes her quite a bad tank. Coppermine is just another laughable Uber, being replaceable. Urian is superior to her in almost every way, and I just recommend you sell her. Now on to the better Ubers, namely Ku, Windy, Twin Stars, and Thundia. These all share some similarities, being semi to complete nukers that can decimate their target trait if done right. Ku is probably the worst of them all, although this is arguable. Alright guys, I made a mistake here. I forgot to account for Ku's relic talents, which are pretty good. Relic is a pretty good trait to nuke, so yeah, she should actually be better than Thundia. Her red ability in particular is the one that's important. Reds are usually tanky and have low knockbacks, making them perfect for nuking. The reason she's so low is due to the fact that her other ability, Black, is just not that very good. It's quite replaceable with Weightlifter. It's also replaceable with another Uber, namely Twin Stars. Has fantastic damage in general, but crazy damage versus their 2 targets, Black and Alien. They can outrange most Black enemies and also can act as rushers as well. This goes for some aliens, although they can get hit by backliners, so watch out. Huntress Tarun is a pretty good alien and red debuffer that stands at quite a high range. Because of this range, she is not completely outclassed by Witch Cat and Psycho Cat, which are our current alien and red slowers. If you stack her up, she can kind of be like a long distance debuffer, which is always good against aliens and reds. Her compatibility with both reds and aliens is quite good, and she also has the addition of Colossal Slayer, which is okay for Baron Seal. Windy is an amazing anti-floating Uber, being one of the best in the game easily. She is not very good as a generalist, but for her target trait, floating, she dominates. This even gets better with her strength and talent, making her DPS even crazier. I don't usually like to talk numbers, but she could do 270,000 damage in one hit at level 30, even without talents. Crazy. Thundia is like literally a copy paste of Windy. Like same stack, same thing, it's the same Uber, except with a different trait, red. And as you know, reds are better for nuking than floating, which is why she's better. Kai is an amazing tank that's also cheap and quite fast. Her KB immune and high HP also helps her tanking ability. Her shield pierce means she's also good against Aku enemies, which will definitely help you in later game. Kalisa, in my opinion, is the best anti-angel Uber in the game, tearing apart angel stages. She has amazing DPS in general, but against her cherry angel, she dominates even harder than Windy and Thundia. She also has high speed, meaning you can use her as a rusher as well. Lilin is broken, let's be honest. She is easily the best anti-Aku in the game, at least Uber. She has great health, great DPS, especially against Aku and Angel. Low I'm so tired. Low recharge time and cheap to produce as well. She also creates a surge attack in her true form, which is also pretty broken, which makes her DPS even crazier. Just, yeah, Akus are gone. Great Uber to have. The legend rare of the set, Jean, is a nuker for both red and floating. Her range means she can outrange most enemies in her traits, and her speed also means she can go into the battlefield fast. She is like a combination of Windy and Thundia, and that alone should show how broken she is. Overall, The Galaxy Gals are quite a solid set to roll. They have good generalist value and are useful in many stages of the game. However, later on in the line, there's going to be better generalist sets to roll. But we'll get to that in the next video. Well, that's the video. This is going to be part 1 of a part 2 series. So if you're excited, yeah, why don't you like and subscribe? That'd be amazing. I want to get monetized soon. I'm going to be making another video like this, but it's going to be more X-School style with subtitles and stuff, so look out for that. And I know I forgot a couple Ubers. I think I probably more than a couple, but who knows. I know I forgot Hanzo, but I looked him up. He's not that crazy. I mean, yeah, freezing and nuking, pretty good, but like, there's so many much better anti-floatings out there. Who cares? Well, thanks for watching. See ya? See ya.